Hello, hello to all of my loved ones, and welcome to the Sip and Chat, where myself and my co host, Miss Nexie, we talk about all of the love topics, love relationships, because I believe that when you have a good relationship with yourself and you heal from your past, you're able to be your best in the present. So, welcome. Anybody who's new, you're always welcome to subscribe to this channel. Okay, we have my co host here, Miss Nexie,
Hello, Miss Marlene. How are you today?
doing great, great, great. I wanted to say this first of all, welcome to the Sip and Chat.
Oh, thank you, Miss Marlene. Thank you,
Mhm.
thank you, thank you. Now, what's the question you're supposed to ask?
Oh, before you're skipping ahead.
No, I said, where's the question you're supposed to ask me? That's
I'm
all I'm
supposed to ask you,
saying.
Miss Nexie, what are you sipping on?
Well, just coffee because it's so cold here right now. It's so cold and it's rainy. So a nice cup of coffee. I was gonna have a nice cup of tea, but then I said, no, who am I kidding? So I got me some coffee. What are you sipping on?
Well, it's nothing exciting today. It's a little chilly. I'm
Yes.
not liking. I'm like, this is not Florida. I was like, this is not Floridaing me.
No, it's not. It's not Floridian weather.
No,
Everybody knows the Florida at this point is like 100 degrees in the
ex-
shade.
exactly. So, Miss Nexie, you see the title, okay? The title.
Okay.
We're talking about this list, right? Because the dating list, and we all know about how some people they have these lists when it comes to dating and everything. But before we get into talking about it, first we got to talk about what this dating list is. Most people define this as a set of lists to help them to identify a partner or a relationship because they want to ensure that they're not settling or they have someone that's within their values and their goals. Now,
Hmm.
the problem with the list, in my opinion, is that what is too much? What is too much in talking about the dating and the list and all of those things? Because I get it, like normal stuff, like, okay, they have to treat me with respect. They have to have certain values. Maybe people align with people of their similar faith and normal stuff. But when I'm the list that I've been seeing that I think is very abnormal these days, Miss Nexie, is people are having this list like, okay, if they take me to this restaurant and it's not four-star dining, if they don't pay to do my hair, my nails, okay, they're out automatically. Well, what is your thoughts of this, Miss Nexie?
Well, if we're gonna be honest, I think I've never made a list for a life partner because it's not. I'm not going grocery shopping for a husband. That's what I think of that list. But to each its own, right? Everybody has their own way of doing things. But for me, I think that my list would have probably consist of two things. Does he treat me well? Is he hardworking?
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Because
Does he work?
because honestly,
Does he
that's what's
treat me
important.
well? That's pretty much it for me. For me, because everybody wants. They make this list. Not everybody, but some people make this long lists of qualities they want on someone, and that they can. I guess live together in more of a harmonious way because they're making these lists and everything. But sometimes the lists are based on the boyfriend you're dating. Oh, he's perfect. Yeah, he checks this, he checks that, he checks this. But when you don't marry that boyfriend. You marry a husband. That boyfriend is
Allegedly,
gonna
Miss
turn
Nexie, allegedly.
allegedly, yeah, that boyfriend is gonna turn into a husband the minute he signs those papers. So that boyfriend is non-existent after that because he's your husband now. It's a total different beast.
It's a completely different thing.
Yes.
But they the boyfriend girlfriend thing and the husband wife thing with that's a topic for
Yeah.
another day, Miss
So
Nexie. But
no, I know. So those lists are, for me is I'm always been very independent. So I don't want anyone to, I'm not gonna charge someone but to take me out and I'm gonna make a list that if he doesn't pay for this and that. I don't know. It seems so weird to me, Miss Marlene. I've been reading those lists. Trust me, there's a lot of them floated out there. When you told me the topic, I googled and
you
I
googled
got
it.
like, yeah, I got like 3,000 hits like in 1 second. Oh, here's a list for this. There's a list for. I was like surprised, amazed, and a little bit, disturbed when I was reading through them. But I
Yes.
guess if you need that to validate that the choices that you're making are correct, then you know,
You
bully for
know,
you.
I Miss Nexie, I don't know. I feel like for me, I feel like okay, I must be old because I I don't believe in letting other people or what society is telling me that I should have or be. I'm the one living
Mhm.
with the person. I'm the one that's gonna have to, if things work out, of course, you know what I'm saying. Because not everybody actually has these lists because they're looking for forever. Some people have these lists, Miss Nexie. Now I'm about to step on some people's toes, but
Uh-oh.
there's a lot of people who have these lists because they're just looking for someone to take care of them and buy them some food.
To support them. Yes, ma'am. That's exactly what I noticed on those lists. There was nothing about how is he with, his family, or he's very loving to his mom. Or like he will have to love his mother very much, or he will have to be very close to his family members. I don't see any of that on those lists. I mean, I saw some of them, but they were like outdated. They weren't like recent ones because I focused more when I was looking for them in recent, dating list for 2023, 2024. They
Yeah.
vary, but not much. But I didn't see anything else. How is he close to his family members? Is he a family man? You know what I mean? Is he good with children? I didn't see any of those things. All I saw, most of what I saw was, how much does he make? He has to make a certain amount. um, what does he like to travel? You know, has he ever been abroad or whatever? And does he like brand names? Does he spend a certain amount of money on his person to look the best? So it was all superficial things. It wasn't really deep into who am I getting into a relationship with based on feelings. It was more like monetary value of that person dating you. It wasn't a situation of where we're going to get close, we're going to get together, we're going to have a relationship based on mutual trust, love, and this and that. It was more like, okay, if he doesn't make this much, but I make this much, I want somebody to make 20 grand more than I do. I even saw one like that. If I make 100,000 a year, so I want a guy that makes 120 or I don't date him. I'm like, what?
I that's what I'm talking about, and that's why I said this, Miss Nexie. What is too much? Because I'm all for, of course, nobody wants to be in a relationship or meet somebody that's a bum. We
Of
all
course
want
not.
like a good person. You want to have a good person, and I understand like normal things. I get normal things like, you know, mental stability, job security,
Hmm.
being a good communicator. Those are the things that I think is important to have on a list. Not just
Hmm.
like everything that I've been seeing, Miss Nexie. I may not be seeing all of the list, but all the lists that I have been seeing is all material,
Yeah,
like
all about the money.
thing centered. Like, oh, I got to go to four-star dining. I got
Yeah.
better be rolled out for
What
me.
about the 5-star vacation?
Yeah,
They want a 5-star vacation. They want to go to this very sophisticated places. And I've worked my tail off my entire life. You have done that as well, Miss Marlene, and still doing it. We're still doing that.
Mhm.
But we've never, tried to have someone that takes us on a vacation, that I'm not going to pay for. Of course not, right? He has to pay for a 5-star vacation and to a luxurious place, the Maldives, Bora Bora. And I'm like, I haven't even gone there. And I work my tail off. My husband, my ex-husband too, worked his tail off. And we never did anything that extravagant without both of us putting into our vacation fund, together. Like I would feel very uncomfortable if if he was a millionaire or something like that, is different, right? But if because I picked a partner that it was equal to me in things like, you know, um, our language, our, again, a hardworking man, a good family man, treated me well. So I was looking for that. I wasn't looking for money, so I wasn't expecting anything. I don't think I'd be able to do that, Miss Marlene. Again, I feel very uncomfortable when I have to ask people, or people have to think that they have to take me to a fancy place, or I won't be pleased. I'm like satisfied with those rochi cochis. Let's go there. If they have good tacos, let's do it. They got good burgers. Although I'm not really a burger person, but let's do that.
Yeah, my thing is, Miss Nexie, my problem that I have with the people who have these lists is they are expecting or requiring things that they don't even personally have. It's like somebody saying, I only am going to date somebody that is a millionaire. And I'm like, but you're working at a fast food joint. Don't get me wrong, Miss Nancy,
Mm.
there's nothing wrong with working anywhere, but for me, it's like them
It's a
having
point.
these ridiculous ideas about what people should be and what they should do, and it's like, okay, you expect that, but I kind of think it's strange that they want something that they don't even have themselves together.
They cannot offer exactly. And not only that, Miss Marlene, a lot of people focus on those material goods and vacations and this and that, and they may get into a an abusive relationship and may stay just because of those things. Let's say they find that list that they wrote in someone, right? Money, this, that, security takes you to this different places. But if that person is abusing you in any way, verbally, physically, mentally, whatever, you're not going to be able to leave because this person checks your list,
But
right?
Miss
So you're going
Nancy,
to stay with someone like that because the list that you have is so unbelievable, not real. And if you find it, you're going to stay with someone that is not appropriate for you because he checked all the wrong boxes, not the right ones.
Miss Nixon, I think the real question people should be asking, do you have a future with this person? Can you see a longevity? Can you see like years and years growing together, building together? But I feel like so much people they focus on just right now. Okay, they gotta have they gotta be this high, this tall, they gotta be this weight. And okay, Miss Nexie, you and I, we're seasoned women, you know.
Hmm.
We're not teenagers, so we have
We're not spring chickens
experienced.
anymore.
Yeah, we're not spring chickens. We haven't we've experienced things in life to know like the things that really are important in this life. And what's really important in life is having somebody that you can have intellectual conversations, that they're mature enough if they're upset with you. For me, that's one
Hmm.
of the most important things that people should have on the list. That's very high on my priority list is if somebody is upset or angry or their needs are not being met, how are they going to react? Like, are you a person who has a hot temper? Are you a person that likes to berate or control? Are you a jealous person? those are the things that
Am I? Yeah, whenever we go, are you gonna create a jealousy scene where I'm gonna be attacked, or you're gonna get into a fight with someone because they're looking at me? There, you know what I mean? Like, are you gonna get upset because I talked to someone on a vacation, and then you're gonna start, pushing or hitting me or whatever? What people don't understand, Miss Marlene, with this, I'm not saying they are wrong. You can make those lists. I make them when but I have made my list, and I learned this in therapy. And you know this, the pros and cons of an argument. Why did we get into that argument? What did I say? What did he say? So once you write those things down, you're like, oh, he was all at fault, not me.
Mhm.
You start learning things. But I have never done them for a person that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. That I'm thinking, right? That this is going to be someone that I want in my life for a very long time, or maybe for life if things work out. I have
see
never done them for that. But a
see
lot of
Miss
the things that I saw, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh, go ahead, Miss Nexie.
Oh, no, no. I was going to say a lot of the things that I didn't see on those lists that they were making, that I read in the interwebs, is that I didn't see. I want romance. I
Mhm.
want understanding. I want a loving, mutually loving relationship with a partner, that if one day I'm sick, he's going to be able to be there and bring me a cup of tea with, with medicine. He's going to, if I get into an accident, he's going to be in the hospital with me. I want someone that I can come home and cry to and listen to for hours, to me whining, most likely. And I want that person's shoulder to be there for me when I have, I need to cry. I want this person to bring me, the peace of mind that sometimes I need when life happens. I didn't see any of that. Most of the things I saw were material things, like you're saying. And it's very sad and disappointing and discouraging, and at the same time gratifying that I'm not in that dating pool.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Oh yeah, Miss Nexie. I know what you're talking about 100%. And I will agree with you on all of those points, because I think that so much people that they're focusing on the things that you can see, the looks, the money, the cars, the houses. Oh, they have to have this education or this height. And okay, my scenario, okay, what if all of those things are checked off? Okay, they're this tall, they have this much money, they have everything on the list, but the things that you did not mention, like what you were talking about, what about a person being compassionate? What about a person who
Hmm.
knows how to be a good communicator? What about seeking someone that is affectionate, romantic, kind, um, good with children and the elderly, like you said,
Sympathetic, yeah.
having the community, the those things that, and I think the people who are making these lists, I think that it just states that their immaturity. It states
Yeah.
that they have not lived enough life. They have not learned who they are yet. And they're only looking at social media, the entertainment. It's like they want this movie star life. They want this, they want to live a life of glamour. And don't get me wrong, Miss Nexie. I like the finer things. I like luxury items. I like quality. But I'm not going to compromise my values, my morals, my integrity to have what other people say I should have. And you get that person, and then that person is like brain dead. They don't even know how to have a conversation. That all they're doing is they're only focusing on having somebody who looks good on their arm, or somebody that can put it down in the bedroom. That's all they're focusing on. They only care about those 2 things. They have to look good around me, and they have to satisfy me sexually. And they don't think about the other things that will keep
Or
you
they're
in a
probably also,
relationship.
Miss Marlene, focusing on things that, like the same list you have, they probably have one themselves, right? And so now there's two people in a list. They're not really looking for a long lasting or a positive, or or a relationship with someone that makes you better, feel better,
Ah,
makes you a better person than you are.
Miss Sexy, that but that what you're saying right there, that is experience, that is maturity, and the majority of people who are after all of these things, people really are superficial. They're really
Yes.
because don't get me wrong, Miss Nexie, I'm never gonna say you don't have to have an attraction. You don't have to think, be eh, um sexually attracted to somebody because you do have to have that in the relationship. That's a very important in the relationship, but it shouldn't stop there. That shouldn't be the
Hmm.
only thing that you have on the list.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. That shouldn't be the whole focus of the person. It should be. You're right. You're so right. Go on, Miss Miley.
Yeah. And I feel like so much people that's what they focus on, you know? They focus on so many things that is just absolutely ridiculous. Like what about having somebody who has job stability and not just okay, you have somebody on this list, right?
Hmm.
But okay, you get everything on the list, but you didn't put on there a person who has a similar faith to me. You didn't put
Hmm.
anything on there like that person would be willing to be, good to your mother. Like, and then when you get older, that they've made plans of financial planning for the future so that you may not have to work. Like I guess you could say like my mom would say you have to be dating somebody that is intentional about a future with you and not
Hmm.
just somebody who wants to be in a relationship that's just for the moment.
Just to fill in that emptiness you have at the moment, right? And
Right.
that's again, Miss Marlene. I was married for a very long time, very, very long. You know, a lot of people focus on again, I saw in this list several of them that a vacation, like they want to go to this, luxurious places, this, they want to go to France, they want to go to Italy, they want to go to England, they want to go those faraway places, and it's beautiful to have those goals. If that is, if you do that together, plan it as a couple, right? But they had all these luxurious places, and I was thinking, it's not the place that you should be focusing on. What you should be focusing on is who you're going with, because I can travel to all those places, but if I'm with someone that I have no conversation with, that I have nothing in common with when it comes to that, because that's the most important thing, your conversation. How do you get along? Do you guys laugh all the time? My ex-husband and I, we can still do that. We go on vacation together and we're cracking up the entire time. We're talking about the kids, about this, about that. We can have a conversation. We can talk all day long in a vacation and enjoy each other's company and conversation. So, are you with someone like that, or you're just going there so they can give you all these massages, buy you all this stuff, and then you guys are fighting half the time that you're in that vacation? So, it will not be enjoyable. And that's what I was thinking as I'm reading these lists. I'm thinking, okay, I don't see here, I want to go to the Maldives, but I want to go with someone that I adore, that I love, that we're going to spend this romantic time together in conversation, enjoying drinks, enjoying foods. Nothing like that. No romance. It's just the destination. it,
And
it's
and
it's just it was weird.
And you said something very profound, Miss Nexie, when you said that it was important for you. You know, you had that, and it's called like having somebody with some meat. Some, you have to have something on the inside, like they're not hollow. And I'm
Hmm.
seeing more and more in the dating pool. And I've heard people say that the dating pool has urine in it. it's, it's
It's not your water anymore. That's hilarious.
And I agree with that. And I agree with that, Miss Nexie, because dating now, everything is so different from, I could say even from like years ago. Everything's different, like social media, and it's like, and just the simple things about even dating, how people show up for a date, and it's like, really, you know, it's, it's not good. I no,
That's
seriously,
not good.
I've had some friends and they've told me like somebody shows up for a date and look like they just rolled out of the bed and came to the date.
Yes. Yeah, on sweats and a hoodie. And, and I'm not saying that's not okay. It is okay if you're going to go and stay in your car and you're going to do a drive through, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and you guys already know each other, but when it's your first time going out with this person, again, those are the things that your list should have. I want him to look presentable on our first date. I want us to go whatever we're going to. I want us to dolled up together, like to go all out. I want him to smell nice. I want him to have good hygiene, but those things are not there on those lists anymore. The things that I see is I want him to buy me this $1,500 purses plus 1,500 plus this $700-800 shoes. I want him to buy me this certain car. I want him to take me on this $20,000-30,000 vacation. I want, you know what I mean? Like everything is more material than it is with feeling. And I get it. It's a different generation, right? They're doing things different now, but that doesn't change. When you start living with someone, they can have all the money in the world. But once you mature, as you said earlier, these are very immature lists. As you get older, the list doesn't matter. If this person is checks every box in your material list, once you get with them and you spend a lifetime and you haven't received any of the things that you should have had on that list, that's why we get those divorces after 10, 20 years that I'm sorry, or they split up after 5, 6 years because they're like, no, I can't do that. This is, I married a wallet, right? I didn't marry a person. I married a bank account. I
Mm.
married, a little machine that provides. I didn't marry the person that is supposed to kind of mirror my feelings because I have a friend, her husband, Miss Marlene, is very quiet. And I'm thinking, we go on, we used to go out on Christmas parties. Sometimes we'll get together for events at work. Sometimes we'll do, and he is totally quiet. Like he's not a guy that you will say, oh my God, his conversation was so fluid. He was so nice to everybody. He says hi and he stays quiet. And I look at my friend who's a chatterbox and I'm like, how do you guys work? How does this, like, does he even talk at home? And my friend was telling me, oh, he's a chatterbox at home. He's very talkative. He's super
I don't
funny.
believe that at all.
And no, she says that he is very talkative at home. He's a very funny. His kids are very close to him as well. He is totally different. But the one thing this man has, he's a good provider. He is very good to his mother. They've been together for many years and they're in love with each other. Even though he's super quiet, he's not mean, Miss Marlene. He's not mean at all. He says, "Hi, how you doing?" He will say that to you, but then he'll stay quiet. And if you ask, how's work? Oh, work is good. I've been working a lot and but working, bills and everything, the kids. But yeah, work is good, and that's it. Unless you ask another question, how's your
Oh,
family?
so
Oh,
so
they're good.
he's a man of few words.
Very few words. And my friend is a chatterbox. She talks to everybody. She knows everybody, and he is very quiet. But she tells me he is funny at home when he's comfortable because he feels comfortable at home.
So
He
he's an
is funny
introvert.
with the kids.
He's more of an introvert than Miss Nexie.
Yes, yes, ma'am. That's exactly what he is. And that when I think to this list, I think of my friend only because she says that growing up, all she wanted it was someone because her dad was very good to her and he was very good to their mom. She's like, I only wanted to marry someone like my dad. Says, but the thing that I fail on in this imaginary list that she had, her dad was very social. He was a very like a butterfly. He knew everybody, kind of like my father was. He was very friendly. He was all over the place with the kids and the neighborhood. They knew him, and he worked in the same place for many years. And he was very outgoing. Her husband is like her father in certain things, but he's very introvert. Like he does not make conversation. You literally have to pull the words out of his mouth, but
Oh
he's not
wow.
mean or anything, and they get along very well. She says that's the only thing he doesn't have about her dad. That and this list sometimes, if you marry them, that's exactly what they are, Miss Marlene. You get that. You get your list. Your outrageous sometimes list, but
Yeah.
there's a price to pay sometimes when you get it.
And you know what I have always said, that Miss Nexie, is, when people talk about these lists, it's very important for people to leave room for people's personality, because I'll tell you something, a lot of times you'll be expecting or wanting something from somebody, and you could be missing out on the best thing to ever happen to you in your life
Hmm.
because of a list, you
And
know?
there you go. There you go. And that
So
is exactly why sometimes they're not realistic. Um, because on paper, you know how some people say, the marriage was great on paper. They both had great jobs. They both did this. And then they do unimaginable. They unalive their spouse or whatever. Because some things, yeah, they have to stay on a paper. They shouldn't come out of it because it's not going to be the fairy tale that you expect it to be. Because again, if you get that list, I'm sure this person is going to have his or her own list of things that they think you have. But then you marry or you start living together, you start the relationship. Boyfriend and girlfriend living in separate places, I don't count that as the list breaker. I think that the list breaks once you start living together.
ooh, when you start living when you start living with somebody, boy, is that something. Before we get into that, let's acknowledge some that came into the chat. Sirius is here, and so is Nate. Hi guys,
Oh,
welcome.
hi, Miss Serious. Hi, Nate.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like the list, because boyfriend and girlfriend living in separate homes. Oh my God, it's honeymoon every day. You can see them every day, but they go home, right? And you go home, and then you can't wait to see them again. And they check all those little boxes. But the
Oh,
reality of
Miss Nexie, they're perfect. Have you ever heard this? Oh, we've been dating 7 years. They're perfect. They're perfect. They're perfect. and then and then and then when they finally either cohabitate, get married, whichever one comes first, then they're like, oh, I can't stand them, they get on my nerves.
yep,
It's because they're only going by the list. I call it that honeymoon phase, right? That
yes.
everything is, oh, this, oh, they're the most handsome, or she's the most beautiful, everything's good. They're not looking realistically, they're not looking at flaws or red flags, and
You
that's a very
can't.
dangerous space to be in.
Yeah, you can't because when that person goes home and you go home, you everything at home is the way you like it. In their home, everything is the way they like it. The problem is when you start, living together, or you get like either one, get married or start living together before marriage, whatever it is the case. But That's when that list, and again, that's why I tell people, you married, when you're dating and they propose, you're going to marry a husband, not your boyfriend. It's
Mm,
different when it's your husband because the mentality changes, even for us, right? Even for us. That sometimes we're
yes.
like, oh my God, he's coming home again. No, you cannot, like, it's almost 5 o'clock. Oh my God, he's going to be here in like an hour. Shoot, I have to get something ready to eat. It's not the same as, oh my God, he's going to come pick me up at 7 and then drop me off at 10 and then I'm done and I'm going to see him tomorrow again. Oh my goodness.
No,
It's so exciting.
but the reason why a lot of people are excited in the dating phase and all of those things is because there's not real life added to it. They didn't leave the toilet seat up or do something that irritates them. You're only seeing them in this setting that you have somebody has made up, like,
Yeah,
oh, he's
fantasy.
beautiful and you're getting
In a
flowers and you're
fantasy
all
setting.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, and they
So
don't forget an anniversary, right? When you're dating, they don't forget an anniversary. Even they count even the months. You marry them, they're like, oh shoot, I forgot it was her anniversary. Let me go get her some flowers.
yeah,
Let me
it's like,
go make them something.
oh, today is a special day. Okay, all right. But
Really?
okay, this Miss Sexy is this. I wanted to talk about this because I looked this up on the internet, on from a psychologist. The things that are important to put on a list, because that's why we do the sip and chats for. Yeah, we talk about topics and things, but this is the meat, the heavyweight stuff that people should. When you're talking about a dating list, this is something you need to put on the list. Okay, are they a
Okay.
person that has anxiety, a mood disorder? Are they recovering from a traumatic event? Have they recently had grief or a loss? Are they dealing with an addiction? Do they have mental health challenges? That's something. Personal
Mm.
accountability and their mental health. Are they mentally
Again,
stable?
they're mentally stable. And again, this is what I tell people. When or people when they're dating and they're like they criticize us married people, right? I think I have given you an example of a coworker who was dating her now ex-husband for like 3 or 4 years before they got married. And of course, they had made all these plans. They were not gonna be like their parents. They were not gonna yell at each other. They were gonna talk everything out. If there was a problem or something they didn't like, they were gonna talk it out. And no arguing. They were not gonna argue, by the way, never. And
Oh,
no
is
disrespect.
this the ones that say they're never going to fight?
Yes, yes, they were not gonna be like their parents. They were never gonna fight. They were never gonna argue. They were never everything. If there was a problem or something they didn't like, they were gonna fix it by talking it out. And I said, good luck with that in my mind. And I said, wow, that's wonderful. Yeah, and my chubby bear and I are gonna do this. And my chubby bear and I don't remember the name that she gave the guy. I don't want to say it because in case she's listening to this. But she will call, let's say, honey. My honey and I are gonna discuss everything. My honey and I are gonna da. And
Oh,
then I was like, okay, good luck with that. My friend, because I cannot believe you guys. I saw you guys like arguing. I heard you guys arguing on the phone the other day. Or like we're not going to do like that. My parents were always like that and it bothered me so much. And I'm like, okay, good luck with that one. And yeah, the first year was beautiful. When they got married, the first year was amazing. Then she got pregnant. And then she had a baby. And then Prince Charming was returned back into a frog. It was
you're
not
return
my
back to the
honey.
frog.
It was not my honey anymore. It was this SOB. Oh my God. And couldn't you find it? I freaking left it there, didn't you? And I was like, wait a minute. I thought you were gonna talk it out. Oh, they're talking it out right now. I would tell my friend.
Oh yeah, remember they
They're
said they were never gonna fight, never gonna
never.
disagree.
They're talking it out, and they're divorced now. They're
Oh
only
no.
married for like 3 years the most, and the baby was a COVID baby because she was born in between, the pandemic and the towards the end of it. And yeah, so there's the baby now. She's probably gonna be two pretty soon, and or three, and now they're divorced. They're getting divorced because
Wow.
they can't stand each other anymore, and they're not talking it out. And again, those lists are fine. You can have your list. You can make list of the things that you want. The personality, like the psychologist that you just mentioned says, do they have any childhood traumas that they haven't overcome? Do they have any, did they grow up with, a two-parent household? Did they grow up in a one-parent household? Those things matter, Miss Marlene,
They do.
because you have to kind of get into the idea of, if they didn't grow up like I did, then I have to compromise one way or another, or I can help them somehow reconnect. You know what I mean? Like, so these things are not being put on those lists. Where they should be focusing on that, is there any history of anything like that in him or his family? Because you don't know what you're getting yourself into, and because you're not going to remain boyfriend and girlfriend if this person and you take the relationship to the next level. And a
Exactly.
lot of people focus, again, as you said before, they focus on the material, they focus on the physical of this person. They say, oh my God, we've been dating for like 3 years and he always opens the door for me. Oh my God, I can't believe your husband doesn't do it for you anymore. And you're thinking, yeah, you guys are just dating. Once you live together, they shouldn't have to be forced to do that. If they want to, yeah, that's fine. But I'm not gonna expect them to continue this because we're married. It's a total different ball game
And
once you're in.
there's real life, and
Yes.
responsibilities and kids and bills, and you have those times where it's like, I've shared this before. Like my mom used to say, like, I never wanted to unalive your father, but I just wanted to hold him under, just not too long, but just long enough to make some of that water go up his nose. Just make him choke or something. Yeah, that's real.
Well, your mom was a beautiful soul because I really wanted to do the other way. I wanted to unalive. I didn't want to just see any bubbles. I wanted to put him down until there was no bubbles coming out. But again, it's a relationship based on facts, based on everyday life. And let me ask you, Miss Marlene, are you happy every day?
No.
Are you very good at doing all of the dishes every day? Are you very good at cooking every day? Are you very good at cleaning the entire house every day?
Miss
Putting
Nexie,
everything back?
I already said that if I am in a relationship and they require dishes, it's going to be like those westerns where they throw the dish up in the air and hit it with a
Yeah.
shotgun.
I'll get you that sugar. Oh, I'll get it for you. I'll get it for you. No, and again, Miss Marlene, see, sometimes when we're young, we don't, and I understand, we're young and we're, not mature. I was gonna say young and dumb, but I shouldn't say that. It's mature, right? We're not that mature, so we don't
Yeah.
see that even though we are like that, we can be upset one minute and then our room is messy, we leave our shoes everywhere, but the list of that we have says I want him to be nice, needy and clean, and to open my door and to take me into these fancy places and buy me all these different things. But they don't think of, okay, I'm coming with an attitude that I don't clean every day. I'm coming with a thing that I don't pick up my room every day. Sometimes I come home, I throw my shoes and I leave them in the middle of the living room. I take off my socks and leave them on top of the sofa. You know, I take off other intimate garments that we girls take off as soon as we walk in home
Yes.
in the house and leave them everywhere. So, you know, when you go into a relationship thinking that because you have that list, it's going to be successful and 100%, I mean, drama free, you're in for a big surprise.
It's a big
Because,
surprise. But Miss Nixie, but okay, first, before we get into talking about it, hey, James, Red Shirt James is in the chat.
hi, James.
How you doing? Welcome, welcome. And James put this in the chat. That's for you, Nexie.
Hmm.
He says, Nexie, you can't fix it by giving the tequila away.
That's the reason why my divorce. I gave the tequila away. Darn it. Hey, you know what? You guys know that I thought it was a Christmas present. He said nothing. Knowing him, I said it's probably for his brothers. Don't blame me. It's his fault for not speaking out, right, Miss Marlene? Right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, my friend.
What is it? Speak now. Oh no, that's at the wedding. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah, no, that can be said for this too.
Something
Speak
else.
now, forever hold your peace. Because I had no idea. And to this day, he still throws that on my face. Oh, look, there's a bottle. Maybe I should take 5 so you can give them away.
Well, it is what they say. It is what it is.
Hey, I've been trying to replace those bottles, but no, oh no. But anyway,
Okay,
going back to that.
okay, Miss Nexie. Now, this is another thing on the list that people really don't talk about. Like I was saying, I read about a psychologist. What she was saying, what really should be on the list: shared core values. You know, knowing that
Mhm.
that you have, they don't have to be the same, but similar. Like things that are important to you should be important to them as well, or there's going to be a lot of headbutting. And my personal opinion, I'm not saying this is of everybody, but I think so much people get so involved in jumping from high to the bed, and then things happen, like people will get pregnant, or you'll find out that that person is like, you know, the elevator doesn't go to the top, but you've already got yourself emotionally, mentally, there with that person. And that's not a good thing. People get so involved into the desire, the lust, that they don't think about, is this a person that I want to deal with for the rest of my life? Like, people are just out there, what they call raw dogging it. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, having a child with somebody is a forever commitment.
Mhm.
And if you do not go into that relationship thinking like, okay, you haven't said like, are they mentally stable? Or, even if you are not together, I always will say, you know, they're going to be good. They will be mature. They're going to communicate with me. You may not want to be with me, but there, certain things about that individual, and people will just focus on these lists and not find out, who is this person? Is this person going to be somebody who is going to be supportive, respectful, kind, especially if you're going to be having children with this individual, and they don't think about those things. Like, I don't know. They're so focused on the wants, the needs, the material things, the purses, the houses, the cars, the this, and they don't focus on, like, are they mature enough to, like, if they're upset, to know, like, I'm just going to take a break. Okay, we'll talk about this later. or are they going to be a person they're mad and they're going to start screaming, cussing you out, and snapping? It's like, hmm.
Hmm. And again, in paper, yeah, you can put your wants and your do's and don'ts, right, in a relationship. But expecting someone to check every single box on that list that you have written down, um, it's like winning the lotto.
Hmm.
You win it, you're excited, but then there's a lot of problems that come from it.
A
that
lot.
you didn't foresee, You're excited, right? The winning, yeah, I got the numbers, everything is awesome. I'm gonna be a millionaire, yeah, all this money, and then there's all these problems that come that you didn't see that they were gonna come to you. And it's the same thing pretty much on those. Like, again, I'm not saying you shouldn't make it. Yes, you should, but you got to make it in all honesty. Don't make it in a fantasy type of thing, because then the one that is going to be disappointed and the one that is going to be brokenhearted is you. You know, I I had this friend who the she only wanted to date like tall guys, right? Like
Okay.
6 feet tall or whatever. And she's like a 5 feet tall, tiny thing, and she wants to date this huge tall guys, and I'm thinking like, you are going to miss on a very, very kind, probably hearted, hardworking, good human, because you only want a certain height. What makes you think that someone that tall wants someone this little, right? It's the same thing. And I try to tell her all the time, like, you're focusing on the wrong thing. You know, you have had boyfriends that are, 5'9", 5'10", that are amazing human beings, and that she will break up with them because they weren't the height that
Well,
she
Miss
wanted.
Nancy, they have to be 6 foot or taller.
Exactly. And she missed out on a lot of guys, the guys that she dated, because they weren't the right height. And she no, but I like guys that are 6 feet taller, blah blah blah. Okay, whatever. She ended up having a baby with someone like that, and the relationship was chaotic, and he was cheating on her all the time. And she pretty much raised the baby on her own because he was always out and about, and they finally broke up after like 12, 13 years together. But the thing is, and I told her, I said, you were focusing on the wrong thing. I said, I've been telling you this for years. Now that she's more mature after, going through this whole ordeal, and she came out thinking differently. Now, she doesn't have that, oh, I want someone to be this tall. I said, but now the ball is on your side of the fence. I said, what if guys say, I don't want to date someone with a kid, right?
Hmm.
I want someone that has no drama, no family drama. I want to date someone that is, maybe been married but has no children. Like, I don't want to date anyone that has kids. I go, so now you're going to go through that stereotyping, because before you would ask for all these things because you had no kids, you were single. Now you're going to have to settle somehow. She's like, no, I was just dumb. I was just a young, dumb person, and I wasn't really thinking it through. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I hope that you have changed, because, dating now, it's totally different that when we were growing up, dating ourselves.
So, as a pause for the cause, we got another mod in the building. Realist one here. Welcome.
Hey, realist.
Yes.
And Miss
Miss,
Marlene, they have all these expectations. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Miss Marlene.
I was about to say, I was just about to go into something, but I'll wait. I'll let you say what you're gonna say.
No, no, I was just gonna reemphasize that you have all these expectations from the person that you made, not the person, but the list. You have all these expectations, and you don't add what your expecting yourself to be? How are you going to be able to manage this list that you have for a partner? How much do you match this list? And I think, again, as I said before, that's where the problem is that, on paper it looks great because you're just wanting, criticizing, or expecting that person, but you're not adding yourself in the adding the math of this. Yeah, this person is beautiful in paper, but I mean, what do you bring from this page that you just wrote here, or that you dictated, that you type, whatever? Where are you there? Who are you? Do you even match 3 or 4 of the categories that you're asking for? And that's, I think, where the problem is. Go ahead, Miss Miley. I just wanted to
Yeah,
say that.
yeah. Well, that's true, Miss Nexa, because it's a lot of people. It's like, okay, people. I've heard people say, "Oh, I gotta date somebody, and they gotta have a luxury car." And I was like what? I was like, "Girl, what are you talking about? You're on the bus." I'm like, like, it's not adding up. Like, you cannot expect things from others that you personally do not possess. You know, I think
Exactly.
I just think it's ridiculous, and I get tired of hearing people talk about, oh, they got to be this and they got to get that. Okay, you're saying, oh, I'm only gonna date a woman and they have to be fit, and I'm looking at them like, my guy, you're obese.
When they want to fit well, right?
Yeah, and I'm like,
How
how are you?
curvaceous.
Yeah, and I'm just saying to myself, I'm like, how are you expecting for, oh yeah, and her body, it has to be this, and she has, and I'm like, but in the meantime, you're over here with a gut, and it's like, come on. I was like, the math is not mathing.
Exactly, exactly. Again, is those expectations, and I get it. You got to think highly of yourself. Of course you should. But don't go to the point of no return, right? If I'm expecting this from this partner, this is what I'm going to do so that I can get someone like I want in this list, because you have to match or things are not going to work out. And again, someone that, I want a guy that is nice and clean, and is, likes to put everything back where it belongs, and I want a guy that does, the backyard and the front yard, and that is handy with tools. And then you're someone that is a little bit, not clean enough. You leave your things everywhere. You don't even know what a screwdriver is. So if you're expecting all of this, there's got to be a list where you can match this so that you guys can work in together, because that's what they're forgetting, is that the list is on paper. What you're gonna get is not a piece of paper, it's a human that is
Yes,
gonna fight
that
back,
has
that is gonna bite back.
that is going to
Go ahead,
have their
Miss.
own opinions, their own, quirks, their own, the problem with the list, and one of the reasons why I'm not a person who is big on lists, is because you can have all of these things. Oh, I expect this, I desire this, and then you can be somebody, like your person can show up, and you will miss out on the best thing that has ever happened to you because you have a list.
Mm-hmm. And we have had friends, Miss Marlene. We have seen friends that have those lists, and that want this, want that, and they miss out on someone that is next to them, that it's probably, like you said, the best thing that could ever happen to them, because you see that this person is gonna love her or him, that this person is gonna, take care of them, and they're missing out because they're looking for a perfection that doesn't exist, but just in their mind, because we're not perfect. Only God is perfect. You know what I mean? We're not perfect. If, let's say, that this person checks out the cleaning, the tidiness, the, attentiveness, and this and that, but then he's someone that barks at you because you're not tidy. You're not clean. You're not, what you're making a mess when he is clean. You're not, folding things the right way, and he expects you to do it that way, or she expects, you know what I mean? Like, there is a con to every pro.
Yeah, and Sirius said something here in the chat. That list gets shorter when goes on after you've been together for a while. It seems as if the list is non-existent. And look,
Yes.
let me tell you, my mom and my dad, they were married for 52, almost 53 years. And I used to tell my mom some stuff. And my mom would just look at me and look down at her glasses, and she would say, "Let me tell you something." She said, "There's lists that you have when you're maybe in your 20s. Then there's a list in your 30s. There's a list in your 40s." And she said, "Listen, by the time you get to your 50s," she said, "you only have like maybe four things on that list."
No, there's a blank piece of paper in front of you. He has nothing of what it was.
Yeah. And my mom is like, honestly, she's like, honestly, the things that is important on that list, and it should be respect, friendship, loyalty, and commitment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like, and then everything else that you put besides that, it's like, okay, that's bonuses. And that's what people don't understand. They hyper fixate on, oh, they don't have this and they don't have that, but what about all of the good qualities? People don't focus on those things, like, they're a hard worker, they're loyal, they're a good person, but oh, and they always do this and they always do that. It's like, but don't you do things too?
Yeah, or Miss Marlene, they check out the making this much more money than I am. It checks out buying me this expensive gifts. But what if that person is a workaholic? That's why he makes more or she makes more than you. What if those gifts are because he's never present or she's never present? She's always doing something
Or
for work or
or Miss
something for
Nixie,
something
or
else.
the gifts are there because they have a guilty conscience because they got a
They're
few side pieces all over the place.
hmm But again, you sometimes you're putting this down and going by those lists, and you're probably missing out on the most amazing thing, like you said, that can happen to you, or you're letting go sometimes because they can be someone that likes you, and they can be friends that like you and kind of go on with you in certain things. But once you get so caught up on this list and it has to be this, we get tired too. We're like, come on, just settle for something good, and who cares about the stupid list?
Yeah.
It's
That's
dumb
what
anyway.
that's what my mom used to say. She's like, listen, at the end of the day, you need somebody, like, if you're sick, that will be like, okay, what can I do? How can I help you? Or if you're going through something, they'll allow you to vent and they won't tell you like that's stupid or try to control or dominate you with their opinions. And she's like, that's the things that's important. All those other things is extra. It's a
Yeah,
supplement. It's not mandatory. And people will make like these lists that it's mandatory. They gotta look like this.
yeah.
They gotta have that. They have to. And I'm like, and that's why you're single.
I saw on a list, Miss Marlene, that said that they had to have straight legs, not bow
What?
legged. Yeah, they have to have a certain amount in the part in the back. For the looks, they had to be tall, broad shoulders, straight legs, blah blah blah, no flat feet. I'm like, what? That's what's important.
No flat. Oh, that's
Now,
another one. No flat feet and not bow legged.
yes, and broad shoulders, and he has to work
Yeah.
out, and he has to eat healthy, and he has to do this, and he has to. I'm like, okay, but you can't. You want someone that if there is a body in the kitchen or the living room, no questions asked, just grab the shovel, let's go. That's what you need. You don't need someone that checks all those boxes because, someone like that, because it's just a list that checks all that, it's not a person. It's not going to be someone that is probably in the same wavelength that you are. Yeah, it will check all this list. It will be this, it will be that, it will have this, it will be that. But then you're probably going to be at home waiting, or you're probably, going to be at home dealing with the side pieces, as you say, or you're going to be at home and be, even though probably one kids and this person doesn't want any children because they don't, on that list, Miss Marlene, the thing that I didn't see is, does he like children? Does he want children? You know what I mean? Like, how long into our marriage does he want to have kids? I didn't see any of that. It was, most of them were material
Or
things.
it's like, when what is their retirement age? What is their purpose in life? Though
Hmm.
people don't get into the heavyweight questions. They're always like, I always call it like, most people out there, I believe, are buffering. It has not processed. I was like, are you thinking about a long term, or are you just looking for somebody to just be around and have fun? Because that there's a big difference in dating and finding your person. That's two
Hmm.
different modes of life, because one is just you just hanging out, you're having fun, you're doing the fun things, but the other one is you're seeing a future together with the two of you, and you're
Hmm.
gonna talk different, you're gonna act different if you're looking for the latter.
Exactly, exactly. And again, a person can check them, but once you get together, we all change. You know what I mean? Like, when I had I knew someone that when the boyfriend was gonna come over, like, she would look like a crazy person when she was at home and, day off or doing nothing. And then if the boyfriend will say, I'll be there in about 15 minutes, she will go doll herself up, get pretty up, and just wait there and be like that all day with the boyfriend. I'm thinking, okay, once you guys get married, and, he's probably going to question, like, wait, how come whenever I get home, you look like you just got out of bed? But when we were dating, you looked so cute every time I saw you. So those are the things that a lot of people don't get, is that we all change, we all get comfortable, we all, have to do that, because if not, it's gonna be a relationship or a life based on a piece of paper. It
Yep,
won't be
based
based
on
on who you
lies.
are, based on lies, yeah, based
Yep,
on something that
yep. It's all based on lies. And
you
uh-oh,
that
you
it's
sound like a
home,
robot now, Miss Nancy.
takes everything off, and I'll pick it up tomorrow.
Okay, it's better now.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to get closer to it so that I can hear you better, because it's going in and out. Like I said, it's raining, so it's a little crazy.
Yeah, but
Can you
but
hear me?
yeah, I hear you now. Miss
Oh, okay,
Nancy,
okay, okay,
you know what
wonderful.
is you know what always makes me laugh all the time is when people like at the first time, like after like you really got comfortable with each other and they really find out who you are. I think it's so important for people to know, like, okay, this is what I look like without makeup, or
Yeah.
how do you look like in the morning, or like how do you act in the morning? Like, are you a person that you don't want to talk, or are you a person that likes to talk a lot? Or do you get up and you're active, or do you get up and you just sit around like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
like those are the conversations that you need to have with people, because that thing will mess me up. Like, I wake up in the morning, I'm bubbly, I'm happy, and they're just sitting there staring in space. I'm like, what's wrong, are you okay? And then, like, I'm irritating them because they don't want to talk because they're not a morning person. Those are the things that you need to find out. Like, are you a person
Before the
that doesn't
fact.
want to talk to me in the morning? or are you a person who wakes up and you like to sing?
Yeah, do you wake up, with a smile on your face or and a big grin, or do you wake up with "Don't get close to me right now because if you do, you won't make it to today." I have to have coffee before I can be myself. So that's me, right? That's who I am, and I have to have my coffee. I
Miss
don't care what you do after I have my cup of coffee, but before I have my cup of coffee, don't talk to me.
and Miss Next, I only have two things. Like, do not talk to me. And I have to shower and brush my teeth. Do not talk to me.
Yes.
I don't. No, there's no nope. I was like, you too need to shower and get some
Miss
personal.
Marlene.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, no, look, I see those movies and I see them, the girl just wakes up and he kisses them, and I'm like, ew,
and I'm like,
that's so gross.
yeah, like that sickens me to my stomach, and I'm like, that is not real life because nobody
That
wakes
is
up
not.
and like, and they're like beautiful. Like I've said many times, like the realistic. I laugh with my friends all the time. Like if when you wake up and it's like, okay, I wake up in the morning. I was like, I have a bonnet on,
I have
there's
wild hair.
no makeup, there's no glamorous hair, but I'm just me. And a lot of people do not show how they really are when they wake up in the morning. Like, this is
Mm-hmm.
the real me. This is what you're probably going to see more likely than the dolled up person or the handsome person that put on this outfit to 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 look at aesthetically pleasing to the prospective person.
Yeah, and again, you can do that sometimes when you're having a romantic, night or date or whatever to look this and that. But I feel that some people just that's what they do. They mislead the other person, and I think that is not that for me. That's not a very nice thing to do
Mhm.
because if you're like this little girl when her boyfriend will come over. Oh my God, you should have seen. She'll put makeup on, do this, do that, and I will tell her mom like, why doesn't she stay like the way she is? Oh, it's her boyfriend coming over. Yeah, but doesn't he have to see her like the way she normally is? And not only like the way that she wants him to see her, like it's weird because you mislead the other person. And they're gonna expect you to look exactly the way that you used to look with them when you guys were dating or whatever.
Mhm. Oh,
Right?
my mom used to say it's very important when you're dating somebody for you to show up as your normal self.
Hmm.
And they're gonna be like, and you'd be like, okay, I'm giving you a preview. Okay, giving you a preview.
This is
And
me.
like I like that's like this is me. This is probably what you'll see more. The dolled up, yeah. I do think it's important in any relationship to make it lasting for you to doll yourself up. Ladies, put on your makeup. The same thing, guys, make yourself look nice. You do that to keep the romance active, to keep the attraction going, but it's not normal. It doesn't last to make yourself seem like, oh, I look like this every day. Like, come on, come on.
Yeah, no, that's
Nobody,
really.
nobody wakes, nobody wakes up and puts on 17 pounds of makeup, or or like the like some of the guys that I know have their waves, or their hair is fixed just right, or they put the gel or the mousse, the hairspray, and the hair is like perfect and they look just so amazing. That's not every day.
And they smell amazing. They smell so good when they wake up. Yeah, that's not the case.
Mhm.
Which is why we jump into the shower right away because we wake up, we've sweated or whatever, and we need to freshen up.
Yeah,
And you don't kiss me
it's
without me brushing my teeth or you brushing those teeth.
it's important, Miss Nexty, to for people to understand that when you wake up, most likely you smell like vinegar.
Okay,
I'm just
that's a
come
new
on, Miss
one.
Nexty. People act like, oh, because they're used to how a person looks, and it's like that initial shock, like, yeah, yeah, I sweat, yeah, yeah, I do,
Things
I have to,
happen.
yeah, it happens. It's life. I'm human. And it's like some people they live like in this glass bubble or this bubble. Or they have these ideas of what, and then when
Yeah,
the bottom falls out, and you're like, what? I was like,
yeah,
this.
and again, their expectations that sometimes are just a fantasy on paper
Mhm.
or on your mind, because we are all, we have faults. We're all human. We have different characters. We have different ways of doing and being. So to expect someone from a list to, again, stay that way, it's asking for trouble. Is asking for the relationship for an ending before it even begins, because they're not going to be able to live up to your expectations of your list. They can't. That's inhuman, right? Now, if your list only has, it got to be good to his mama, his siblings. It's got to be good to me. It's got to be a hardworking person. It's got to have goals. If that's all they have, then you can find someone. And even sometimes you don't have goals set up, that person, they learn from you. You can teach them and they become someone like you. So if your list is not, it's got to be this height, and it's got to weight this much, and it can never weight any more than this, and they have to have a red color blah 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 car, and they have to have a certain amount in their bank account and make a certain amount of money and have a 401k. If you don't put those material things that are important, I'm not saying they're not, but when you look for someone, some people are not as well informed as you are when it comes to finances, because it probably wasn't something that was disclosed in their family or whatever. But they can learn from you. As long as they're good to you, they treat you right, they respect you, that's all it matters.
Mhm. And that's why I always said is people don't put any wiggle room into their minds of people have this idea, oh, they have to look like the person that I have put down on pen on paper.
Hmm.
Oh, they
Hmm.
have to. And then when you see the person and you're like, no, that's not them. And it's them. That's them. That's the person. And they're like, nah, they don't have on a certain outfit or shoes, or they're not driving the
Hmm.
car, or they didn't have this education, or they don't have and at the end of the day, like, does all of that matter if you can't have somebody who is going to be kind and loving and supportive and respectful and good to
Exactly.
you and and your family, and is willing to build, and what Sarah says, what is normalcy nowadays? Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. The line, I always say
Exactly.
the lines have been blurred for many,
Very
many
much so.
years. Yeah.
Very
This-
much so.
Mhm.
I don't think that they even know what they really want, Miss Marlene. I think that, social media influences a lot on this list, because that's what I noticed. That because we are so readily have everything so available, and we're readily going to, okay, let me go, who's trending on TikTok, oh, this person, oh, look at that purse, look at this, look at that, and they're with so and so who makes so and so money, and they're such a great couple, and this and that. So I think that because of all this bombarding of different clothing lines, brands, and TikTokers and YouTubers and all of these things that flow around, they are the whole list thing has changed from being full of I want him to love me, and I expect only for him to love me, and the rest will be taken care of, because loving each other is the most important thing, because we're going to try to do the what's best for each other. We're going to bring home kids to a loving home. We're going to have our extended families in a loving family, extended, right? But all those things are no longer there because of all this other, you know, social media stuff. We are going towards, I want him to be able to buy me this, and I want at least a couple of purses every other month. And it's like, okay, that's just material stuff. What happened to the essence of that person?
Mhm. What about having a person that actually wants to show up for you, thinks about
Mm-hmm.
you, calls you, so is supportive, is a good listener. What about those things? It's like people do not value the important things. It's people's minds is dominated by what can I get? What can I
Mm-hmm.
get from this person? And instead of what do I bring?
Mm-hmm.
What do I bring to the relationship? Like what kind of person am I? And I think people don't focus on what am I bringing to the relationship. They only focus on what they can receive and not like, saying like, oh yeah, I've worked on me. And that's what we talk about, Miss Nexie, a lot, being a
Mm-hmm.
better quality woman, being a better quality man, so that when you show up and you do have a list, you can have that list because you've done the work, you've done the homework,
Mm-hmm.
you've done the healing, you've matured, you've lined things up and set things up for you. It's like one of those things that I say, Miss Nexie, when I have put something on a list, it's because I possess that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm not
Exactly.
asking for something outside of what I'm not willing to do or to be. I'm not saying,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, I want you to be compassionate," and I'm just over here like, "I don't care." Like,
Yeah.
whatever.
You're not asking for something that you're not capable of giving. You're not putting down things that you're incapable to fulfill, right? Certain goals and whatever. You're doing, at least I don't have a list, but if we did, let's say if I did, it will probably be things that I'm able to do for you as well, that I'm able to be for you as well. Not things that, it's not just take, 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 take. It's a two-way street, especially when it comes to a relationship. I'm going to be able to do this because, again, I know myself and I have done, and I'm mature enough to be able to do that. I'm going to bypass the looks and everything sometimes as you get older, that it's even less and less important. But you look into the heart of that person, how he treats everybody, how he behaves with you, how he behaves overall. So, the conversation, how does it flow? So, those are the things that you look for so that you can have a good life. Because, again, you can have everything on that list: the car, the shoes, the purses, the trips, but you may not have them in the way that you expected. I mean, you probably won't enjoy them the same way because you went and you got them through a list, not through someone that was compatible with you in every way.
Yeah, and that's a whole thing, Miss Nexie, about maturing. And I think that's probably something to even go into a whole nother topic about maturity in dating, because
Mm-hmm.
it's one thing to, say, okay, I want to find a person, but like what kind of person? And are you the type of person that is somebody that should be dating? Because there's a lot of people who want to be dated, but they're not dating material.
Yes. We're gonna go on that topic next time, okay? Not this time.
Yeah. But I did have to say that, they're not dating
Yeah,
material.
of course.
Mhm.
Some people are not, and I have family members, and probably one of my brothers, I'm not going to say names, but I can say this, that, think that they're ready for marriage, but then they're having, their little flings outside of the marriage, and doing, going through life like if they're not married. And that for me, it's disturbing, because if you were not ready to be, to be dated or to be dating, then you should have not put yourself there. You should have not done that to this girl, because maybe she doesn't know, but I know, right? And I don't like it. And that's my family. She's my sister in law, but she's my sister. So, I can, I do tell my siblings, they don't do it. I mean, he doesn't do it anymore. But when he did, I will say, I don't want to know. I don't want to see you, because if I do, I'm going to mess her up. So make sure I don't see you. Make sure you don't bring her around. Make sure you don't, post anything. And because if my sister-in-law hurts, I'm going to hurt you.
You know what, Miss Nexie, the thing about it is, even if a person is not caught, what goes around comes around. You know,
Hmm.
you may not, they may not find out about what you did, but trust me, your life is never going to go right when you do wrong to other people. You'll never get it's a circle. You're only
Sometimes
going to be flowing
your
and
guilty conscience. Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry, Miss Marlene.
Oh, go ahead.
Sometimes your own guilt, Miss Marlene. Sometimes when you have done that in youth, you have been unfaithful to your partner, or you haven't met the expectations, or the all that she or he has given you, and you haven't even met him halfway of that list of things that you were supposed to have, right, on that other person. And then you get older, and I feel that, their conscience gets the best of them, and they overcompensate as they get older with this person because of everything that they have done. So even if, I guess, you don't know what has happened, I feel that as you get older, you find out, because you see how much more they try to do with you or for you.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. And that's one of the things. Okay, we got two more things on this list. No, it's one more thing on this list I want to get to before we bring this to an end. So, according to the psychologist, this is the number one thing that people do not put on their list. That is, I feel, one of the most important things is how you want to feel. Thinking about how you want to feel in the relationship, and nobody's perfect, and it requires work and all of those things, but you should generally feel good in your relationship. And that's what we're talking
Hmm.
about. A healthy relationship. You should feel like you can express yourself. You should feel supported. You should feel seen and heard. You should feel confident. You should be growing in the relationship. And if there is a conflict, it shouldn't be that you feel like, you know, dirt or somebody run over because of their opinion.
That is actually very important. That is actually very true, Miss Marlene. A lot of times we don't think about those things when we start dating. Like how, because again, we're dating, we're with the boyfriend, right? Once we get married, and sometimes we go through the marriage not feeling seen or heard, as you said, or validated or loved, or, you know, the other person having a little bit more compassion for you. When you go through life like that and you don't talk about those things with your partner and whatever, I feel that that's when you probably, if things are not met as you need them, that's when I think that you should look for counseling. And if that doesn't work, then you should do something else, because having material things are not going to compensate for the other things that you just said. You know what I mean? And putting that on a list, I think it should be the most important thing that you put on that list. The number one, right? I want to feel loved. I want to feel validated. I want to feel like I am in a mutual relationship. I want to feel like I'm incorporated to everything that boyfriend or spouse or whatever does. Like I want to be one with him, even though we're two. You know what I mean? Like it's like soulmates kind of thing. And that
Yes.
should be the number one thing that you put, the compatibility between the two.
Yeah. And
The how it makes you.
and
You.
and that is something that I do not see. I have never seen one list that says that.
I haven't seen one either. And I'm telling you, I Googled it because I was like, okay, this is the topic. But I was like, because I've been out of the game, out of this dating game for a very long time. And I'm like, oh, what are they looking for now? And yeah, most of the things, and there's a lot of, other social media pages that girls literally say, this is what I'm looking for, and this is what I want, or I won't date you. And I'm like, what? And, most of them are all about them, right?
Yeah.
But they're more material than they are feelings.
And that's what they focus on. They focus on the material things and not the, you know, the
Or
thing
the
about
physical things.
it is it's getting me all tongue tied. I'm getting all wound up, and
Okay, that's it. We
get
got
all get all
it.
upset when people talk about these lists. It's something that I try not to let it get to me, but it grinds my gears. I've seen people make these stupid lists, Miss Nexie, and one of them that I saw on the list was they better not take me to, certain restaurants. We know those restaurants. We've seen the list. They better not take me to this restaurant and this restaurant, and
Yeah.
they have to do this, and and it's just like, listen, if you find a person that is on your same vibration wavelength, it's a person that you can grow with, it's a person that you can be at peace with, you're in tune spiritually to whatever it is that you believe in, and you're good together, you work well, but they can't take you to a 5-star dining. Is that a person that you're going to discount because you can't go to
Yeah.
this
And they
fancy
do.
restaurant?
And they do, Miss Marlene. That's the saddest thing. They do. They discount them. That's it. No, we can't go because you're not gonna be able to take me to a 5-star, restaurant and a top of the line this where I'm gonna have a $200 plate of food and uh, okay, but it gives you love and understanding and it lifts you up and it worries about you and but it doesn't matter because it doesn't fit this other little box that is all about me having fancy dinners. Like what the heck? What's going
I know,
on?
I know, Miss Nessie. It makes absolutely no sense,
It bothers me too.
and
It bothers me to no end.
I get so upset about these lists that people have about, oh, they have to have this body shape, and it's like, okay, this already telling me their age, because anybody who is a seasoned person knows that as you get older, you start getting, you know, what do they call it?
Things are things start falling down like the London Bridge, falling down. If things
Every
don't stay
starts
up
or drop
there,
or receding, and it's like,
gravity. Miss Marlene, there's a reason why we have gravity. Gravity takes its toll on us as you get older, on all of us, not just women, on all male and female. We
yes,
all go through that. But I heard someone, a man said that if the girl didn't have a certain amount of front page, the top page, the front, um, two D's or one D, okay, fine, one D. But if it didn't have that and it was skinny, and if it didn't have, then he wouldn't even look at her. And I was like, what? Not everybody is can handle that back pain. You know what I mean?
That's
Like
just what it
what
is.
the
Back
heck?
pain.
It's so weird because I was like thinking like how superficial you are. Not everybody has that amount and is skinny and has no tummy and you just want those, you know what I mean? Like wow. That's all I said, like wow.
Hmm. And for me, that already shows me when people start talking about it's very interesting. I just sit and I listen and I go, okay, I can find out within it doesn't even take 5 minutes before I can know if somebody is a good match. It don't even take 5 minutes.
Exactly.
It doesn't even take 5 minutes. Within the first 5 minutes, I can say no. That's yeah, that's a no because a person who only talks about themselves or a person that is always, or if a person is, what do you call it, complaining about the past and what somebody else did and what their ex did, that means that they are unhealed, and that means that they assume
Hmm.
no accountability because yes, while your ex may have done things, you also did as well.
Yeah, it's just it's so different because again, you don't need 10 dates, right? You can tell right away if that person, but for me, I don't. I used to waste my time, and I will say waste because I did. No, you shouldn't think of that. Maybe you should look for something. Yeah, I get it. You want all this, but maybe you should lower your standards and, maybe look for a little bit different so that maybe that person will be more compatible. I got tired of doing that, so now I just like, yeah, go ahead. You'll find out. Go ahead. I'm not gonna say anything. What do you think? Not saying anything. You'll tell me once you go through this and you put this list to the list that you have in your head or your standards that you have in your head. Once you put them to use, then you'll come back and tell me, you know what? He was this and this and that, but he was such a jerk. Like we had um we had someone that close to us that the husband had money. She got married to a very wealthy man, Miss Marlene, and beautiful house and everything. But Miss Marlene, the minute we will walk in that door of their house, he could be sitting down reading the paper, the morning paper, the Sunday paper, because that's when we used to visit this person, and he could be there reading the paper. The minute we walk in, we would say, "Hi, good afternoon." He would just look at us, give us a side eye, and go upstairs to his rooms or whatever. He
Mm.
didn't like, yeah, he was that type of person. He would like look at us like, "Oh my God." And he used to do the same thing to her mom and her dad and her siblings. So not many people wanted to visit, but according to her mom, when because we went to school together. We lived in the same town. According to her mom, that was a great catch, a great match. And the girl was all over the place because she was getting this beautiful dress to get married, this all these things, and you could see Miss Marlene. She was a vivacious girl before she got married. A year or two into the marriage, and when we used to come, you could see that the light was off. It wasn't that girl anymore. Now she's married to this jerk who couldn't even answer your good afternoon, hello, your good nothing. He will leave you there. If you will say hi, how you doing, he will leave you there like that. He wouldn't answer back. He would just get up and go.
So he was just a rude person. He had no manners.
None whatsoever. He had a lot of money and well educated, but again, you ask for certain things. These people are not going to be friendly to someone that is not in their category, right? He was a nice person to his family and to the other friends that had, that he knew from school and whatever. He was only mean or whatever to the people that were beneath him, according to his little stupid head. So this girl was so happy and so I was growing up, and home, I saw her, and she looks 20 years older than she really is,
And
and
Miss
it's
Nexi,
sad.
and it's because she's settled.
Well, the mom and dad said that it was a great catch, and he was amazing, and he's this and he's that. So they married her off, and she fell on the oh, he can provide. He's a good provider. He's nice to me when he comes visit, and you know what I mean. You cannot, and that's why it's very important for you to pick someone that resembles you in a few things that you like to do on your on regular basis. If you can have someone that is a little bit quiet but can also hold a conversation. If you're a chatterbox, you cannot have someone, if you're someone that is very respectful to everybody and says hi and bye, good afternoon, whatever, you cannot have someone that doesn't meet those standards, because those things kill a person, right? It makes you embarrassed to have someone like that. And I think that's where this person was at when we used to visit her, that she wasn't herself anymore. She was a shell of herself, because she
Yeah.
lived in a beautiful mansion, but there was no understanding. There was no love. I never saw them hugging. I never saw them holding hands. I never saw them in good conversation, even when they were walking down the street with the stroller or whatever. He wasn't really there. It was so sad.
Yeah. It's very that's why I said it's very telling. You can find out. It doesn't take long for you to find out if it's somebody that you can see a future with, because like after a while, like just you miss them. And if you stop missing people, that's not a that's not a good relationship. You should always
Hmm.
be missing the other person. But what people don't understand is that dating is not all going to dinners, and it's really finding out how a person deals with different situations. And my
Yeah,
mom
they
used to
should
say that
find.
all the time. You
Yeah,
need to be testing, okay, at a restaurant, at this, and go through some social situations together so you can see how they act and react.
yeah. My father always said, "You want to know how girls, you guys want to know how good or how bad it's gonna be to you guys, to you girls. Then you got to check out and see how he is with his mom and his sisters, because that's exactly what you're gonna get at home." That's how my dad used to put it, and I never understood, like, what? That's his mom, but I get it now. As I got older, I'm like, I got what he was saying. If he mistreats his mother, if he's disrespectful to his sisters, you're not going to be any different.
Yeah,
He's going to be the same way to
there-
you.
there's a little caution with that too, Miss Nexley, because I have seen some that will be so loving and so good to their mother and their siblings and treat you like trash. So
Mm,
it's
hmm
not a
There's
perfect.
double standards and everything.
There's always an exception, right?
Hmm.
But I
Hmm.
will say you're right. For the most part, it is that way, and that's why I will say that you can get along with somebody, but there's a whole nother dynamic that comes into play. Like, do you blend in well with the family, the in-laws that would be your in-laws if you ever chose to marry? Like, it does that work, or are they like not accepting of you, or you're not accepting of them? And I'll tell you, it's something that people really don't talk about it enough, but when you marry, you don't marry that person,
Hmm.
you marry the family.
Hmm.
That's it's like, so if there's issues, you better be ready. If they got some
Hmm.
issues, those are
That's
going to
why.
be issues. You can't just say, "Oh,
That's why
that's your
those
family."
lists.
No, no,
That's
no.
why those lists, Miss Marlene. Those lists should include how is he, how is his family, how is he with the family, what kind, you know what I mean? Like what I said in the beginning. That's why, because you're not just marrying him, you're marrying the entire family.
Yes, yes, yes. You are.
That's
Yes,
why I said. And stop making them list and just go out there and find yourself someone that is compatible to you.
Yeah. But the issue there, Miss Nexie, is where do we find these compatible people? I think that's a good space where we're gonna take a break until next week.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Where do we
true.
find these people?
Yeah.
They exist?
Wi- Without the dating list, how do we date?
Yep. How do you date without the list? That's a good topic.
Okay, Miss Marlene.
Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for
That's a
tuning
great
in.
topic.
Yeah, a great topic as always. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Shout out to all my mods. And if you see anybody in blue and they have a channel, go by it and check out their channel. Shout out to Garden of Inspiration. How are you doing? Nate the Great Podcast. Realist One here. Retirement Days. And Sirius, who is not a content creator, but she's always very supportive. Thank you,
Very
guys.
much
Oh,
so.
and James, who's always
Oh,
very
yeah,
supportive as well. Thank you, James.
very much so. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Don't forget to like and share this. And thank you for supporting Miss Marlene on, her journey. It's a beautiful journey she's going through right now. And thank you for being here with us today, where we talk about crazy things from one thing to another, and we don't take breaks. We just change topics, but
We
I'm
did
glad that
change.
you guys are here, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you for having me, Miss Marlene, for giving me the opportunity to be part of your beautiful journey. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. And if you're new here, hit the like, subscribe. Yeah, all of those things.
Forgot to
See you
say
guys.
that. All of those YouTube things.
Yeah, all of the YouTube things. Yes, exactly, Miss Nexie. Exactly. All of the YouTube things. Do that. Okay, everybody.
Yeah,
See
do
you guys
that
next
thing.
week.
Okay, Miss Marlene. Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. And Miss Marlene, I hope you have a wonderful weekend too.
Yes, you too as well, Miss Nexie. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.